So let's take a look at some of the parts here. This is the original, at least original that was in the amplifier when I got it. Bias, resistor, and cap. We're going to just have this off to the side, 135. This amp should bias correctly at around 130 ohms if everything else is working correctly. So we're just going to hang on to this on the side. I'm not keeping the 75 ohms, it's just proof of concept. Yeah, that basically this didn't fix it. This was not going to fix it. It was just to show that even if we go a drastic change, cutting the value in half, it's still not going to bias correct. So that's that. We've got classic F&T 22 microfarad 500 volts. That's to replace this triple can cap right here, as well as these caps. These are all, again, in circuit with this can cap there. So all of those are getting replaced. And then we've got a new F&T here. This is a 3232 dual can cap that's going to be replacing this Weber as well, just in case that's a problem. And then for the cathode bypass caps, I decided to try these little Vichet. I've seen some people like Psionic Audio. He's been using these a lot. I was just curious, wanted to try them out. They're really small, even smaller than the mods I've been using. Unfortunately, I forgot to buy 4. I only bought 3 because, I don't know if I've said this already, this amplifier is missing a cathode bypass cap. Again, the tech in the UK, I don't know how he missed that, or maybe it was purposeful, I don't know. But the amp is missing a cathode bypass cap. It would have been right here. You can see that, this little gap right here. So it's got less gain than it would normally have, which is, maybe a cool thing, maybe not, but we're going to return it to stock. So we're going to be replacing this cathode bypass cap, which is a different brand than this one. So there's actually 4 different brands of caps in this amplifier. And yeah, so we'll have the 3 cathode bypass caps here, the Vichet, and then we'll do the 3 F&Ts, and we'll probably just stack them all right here in this area since it's wide open. And yeah, that should be all we need to do. Oh, and then the can cap, of course. Return this, and then we can finally turn it on, see what's what, and then hone in and deal with all of the resistors and whatnot as we move forward. So, okay, where do we start? I think we start just by removing parts. There's a lot of parts to remove, lots of stuff intertwined with each other. So let's take our time and do this right. So you can see, for example, this 33 microfarad cap is wired in parallel with this triple can cap. I'm blanking on the value of it off the top of my head. You can see this this position right here, this yellow wire is going to one leg of the cap, and then this same exact terminal is also going to this cap, and it's using the case of the cap as the ground for it. So yeah, basically we don't need two connections there. One single cap will do, and this is over filtered as is. This amp has way more filtering than it would have from stock. Yeah, so I think this actually might be a triple 20 microfarad, something like that. So we're looking at basically 50 microfarad, which is a lot more than it should have. So we've got to be really careful with these tags too. If you guys watched my 64 AC30 series, they have a tendency to break. They're very fragile, so you want to be careful with pulling or yanking on them too much. Kind of do as little as possible. I did actually reach out to the shop in the UK, Champ Electronics in Nottingham. They've got their information on the back of the amplifier. They're the ones that recapped it. I did actually reach out to them to see if I could just learn a bit more about the amp, the history, anything they knew. Unfortunately, I never got a reply. That was a couple weeks ago that I did that. But maybe somebody will recognize the amp. I'd love to know more about it. I just know it came from the UK by way of somebody, and then they did a trade in or something with Retrofret, and here we are. So now we got the green, the yellow, and the red. And we got these 2 resistors. I'll take a photo just to remember which goes with which. All right, unfortunately I was betrayed a little bit. This is one of the tough things with the camera here. Is I can't really get the angle I need to see, and I couldn't see that this was wrapped or hooked the opposite way as I would have expected. So in trying to pull it down, it actually pulled the jacket of the wire. That's no big deal because we are going to be easily able to cut that shorter. So that's no big deal, but there's your original can cap. You can see TCC, and these were 16 microfarad, excuse me. So 16 microfarad combined with 33 microfarad. So you're still looking at, basically 49, 49 microfarad when it should have been 16. So again, heavily overfiltered. But yeah, so we got our connections here. We got ground, and then the 3 different cap connections, and then 2 of them have these resistors on them. And as far as how to fit everything, we're gonna have to mock some stuff up. So I think we'll probably remove this resistor as well, just while we're here. Now we've got these 3 F&T caps here. And to be honest, there's not a great way to do this. Really, I mean, I'm not sure if we can even fit 3 in this little position. Maybe I'll just try and mock this up real quick and pop back in when I have a better idea. As it turns out, this was actually acting as the nut holding on the output transformer, one of the 2 bolts. The other one's right here. This one was right there. So I just replaced it with the number 6 with a lock washer underneath the nut there and a flat washer on the top. And I've got the original here that I can put off to the side, but there's no nut on the other end. So yeah, we'll just kind of put this off to the side, and I might just go into the parts store and find a nut that fits this, that fits or matches the rest of them better. But for now, stainless steel hardware, totally fine. We can save the original off to the side. That frees us up with some space, as well as we can put a tag strip there if we need to. Quick mock-up of what I'm thinking. So for the grounds of the 3 caps, there's not a great place, to be honest. What I was thinking I could do is use one of these, what are they called, soldier terminals or something. Put that off of the bolt holding on the can cap facing the other way. So like this. So it's out of the way. And then I could tie all of the grounds to that. So that could be a solution for the ground side. And the positive side, we'll just have the leads come out to about here, and then we'll just have them hooked around, and we can connect the green, yellow, and red basically roughly where they are. Since this is solid core original wire, we're not going to be able to really rebend this or anything. You're just going to snap the wire. So we have to kind of work with it kind of roughly where it's at now, even though it's not the prettiest wire. It's seen some things for sure. To be clear, not for me. For example, this melted section there. And then the resistor replacement, I've got a couple of Vishay power metal films here that are not that much longer than these cut down resistors here. Basically the same, more or less. But I think I can run them over kind of like this and like that to reach those 2 caps there to make it work. So I think that'll be fine. We'll just have to put shielding over everything. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I was considering maybe doing a bigger terminal strip here, but I'm not sure it really helped much, to be honest. So I could fit one additional terminal, but that's not gonna change things dramatically. So I think that's the best solution. We'll move forward with that idea. Let's go ahead and take care of these grid stop resistors too while we're at it. So just putting a little J-hook in the wire like that. So when I connect the resistor, it's not just tack soldered on. We'll clean off the pin a little bit more, and then we can connect our new grid stop resistors on there. Okay, both grid stop resistors have been replaced, and I just reused all of the original shielding there. Let's get this last little bit cut here. That looks good, both 4.7K resistors per the schematic. So now we can move on. I think we're going to end here tonight because it's pretty late, but tomorrow we'll go ahead and pick this up. and do the little pyramid there, replace the cathode bypass caps, get this replaced, and then we should be able to fire it up. So I'll probably do that all tomorrow, picking it up in a second. It's a new day, disassembly continues. We're gonna go ahead and remove the Weber can cap. I don't know how old it is. It could be totally fine. I don't trust it, to be honest. So we're gonna switch over to the tried and true F&T here. I'm a little worried about the fitment. The actual hole here is very small. So yeah, we'll have to remove this to see if it can fit or not. We might have to put it back in, but we'll give it a try first and foremost. So we're just gonna disconnect everything real quick, pop it out, see what we got. And then while it's out, we can go ahead and put in this little lug like we talked about for the ground connection. It might just be the dedicated ground for the 3-prong, TBD. So let's get to it. So we've got the new F&T cap in, and as you can see, it had to kind of go in slightly off center, just the way it is there with the bracket. No big deal. Everything will fit just fine, really, except for some of these existing wires. These ones I can bend to reach, but this one will not reach here, unfortunately. Just missed it, so we will have to replace this wire. Unfortunate, but not the end of the world. I'll see what I got in the inventory to replace this, but I think we can get the other ones to work. That's to ground. These two will go here. But yeah, we're at least it fit in the first place, and you can see I added in the tag for the 3-prong, so that'll just go right in there. I might just redo the 3-prong completely in the future with the new a new one using a strain relief versus this knot method here. But to be honest, it's not a super high priority for me right now. Again, this is my own personal amp, not a customer amp, and I'm okay with taking my time and doing this in waves. So yeah, I think we'll do that last. Let's see if we can get these to reach first. So we got the cap installed here, and kind of remaining is the earth connection for the 3-prong, and then figuring out where the heck we're going to ground the 3 F&T caps. So one option would be, you know, like we planned originally, was the 3-prong earth connection would just go right here like that. And, you know, where do we do the ground? You might say, well, Tanner, can't you just do them all there? Yes, you could. It's against code, not supposed to do that. You want this to be isolated on its own ground connection. When I got the amplifier, the previous tech just put it right here. You know, there's no, I guess, real functional difference, just something you're supposed to do. So I think we'll probably strive for having this on its own, and then have the caps on perhaps a second one that we can do off of this bolt right here. This bolt is for the output transformer. Typically, you wouldn't want to have, you know, ground connections coming off of a bolt holding the transformer in. But the output transformer in this amp is very small. It's 10-watt amp, so there's not a ton of weight to it. So I'm not really worried about, you know, that being an unreliable connection. It's very, very small and light. So I think we might do that. This is stainless steel hardware currently. You know, we could do the earth connection off this one, and then the caps here, just because of the distance. It might be logistically easier to ground all of them here than it would be to curve them around over there. So I think what we'll do for right now is just remove this nut, put this little guy on there, and then we can kind of plan it out. All right, that's not going anywhere. That should be solid. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but functionally it'll be great. And I think we'll just go ahead and install this. Perhaps we'll go up and over. Perfect. Now that that's on there, we can shift focus to the triple caps. Nearly there, guys. We're getting very close. Well, I tried to make it work with the F&Ts, and I just couldn't. They're slightly too big. So I pulled out some of the MOD 20 microfarad 500 volt caps I had, and they fit better. They're a good bit smaller than the F&Ts. So we're going to go with these. I've got them siliconed right now, making a little triangle. We'll put this off to the side so it dries, and that'll work just fine. That they fit right here, and I can still actually get these nuts off if I need to in the future whereas the F&Ts, they basically completely covered those. So no big deal there. Honestly, I think I'm just going to recap the whole thing in F&T since I've already got the bias cap F&T, and I only bought 3 of these Vichets, so we'll save these for some other amp, maybe a custom amp. But that's fine. MOD is totally fine, and I use it frequently in customer amps as well as my own amps. So I think we'll just go ahead and, while that is drying, we'll replace the cathode bypass caps on the board. As a reminder, there should be 3 cathode bypass caps in the amplifier. There's only 2 right now, one right here, one right here. And we are missing one right here over this 1.5K resistor. Show you that in the schematic real quick. So we can go over here to V1A, look at pin 8. So there's V1A right here. Pin 8 would be this blue wire right there. And then we can see there should be a 1.5K R5. And that would be that right there. And we should be seeing a 25 microfarad 12 volt cap. And of course we are not. So either the tech just missed that, or they purposefully wanted the amp to have less gain. So either way, we're going to be restoring this to stock. Very easy to remove if we want to play with that down the line. But I think we're just going to default to restoring it back to how it was originally. So let's grab the MOD caps and get those swapped in. So these tag boards are so fragile. So really the best way I found is first just add a little bit of solder, get it all flowing again. And then we'll take some wick. And as the name implies, just kind of wick out the solder. Don't need to put a ton of pressure on anything. Just be very gentle. It actually appears I think 2 different techs did this work, because the 2 different cathode bypass caps were installed a bit differently here. We might just be able to pull this whole thing out. The cap is sitting on top of the resistor. Not sure if you guys will be able to see that. We're just going to have to replace the whole thing. So here's our replacement. It's actually a slightly different brand. And you can see the brand actually varies a little bit with the carbon film. Some of them are like this. Some of them are more like the replacement I have here. So just a little note there. We'll just go ahead and zoom through this. You guys don't need to see me do every little painstaking detail of the recap here. Okay, cathode bypass caps have been installed. 1, 2, 3. And now we can switch back over to the triple pyramid here. So they're all stuck together. They're not going anywhere. Kind of one solid unit there. And then we can just go ahead and silicone the bottom of them. And they'll be positioned somewhere along those lines. We'll get all the leads pointing in the right direction there. It's certainly not perfect, but I'm pretty happy with how it came out. Working with solid core wires is just really tough. You try and reshape it, it's going to snap. You have to be really careful, but also it's, holds its shape very well up until it doesn't, right? So just to recap what we have here as part of the recap. So we got the 320 microfarad caps. These are replacing the triple can cap. We've got these resistors here. I guess these would be dropping resistors, bleed resistors. This is your 10K going to this one. This is your 22K going to this one. And then we've got the leads, the green and the red, connected from here and here on the board. And then yellow is just connected directly down there. I was kind of dumb. I just wanted to retain as much of the original insulation tubing as possible. I really like it's this kind of really neat stretchy material that I've never run into since with any other amplifier or just new from a vendor. So this was all that I had from the takeoffs, the resistors we took off. So I want to keep it. There's nothing, to worry about any of this hitting or shorting on anything. So there's no real reason to do it other than to just cover up the solder joint a little bit, almost like heat shrink basically. And yeah, so that's what we got there and there, here and here. And that covers it. I did end up using Vichet power metal film resistors, just like we used here on the grid stop resistors there. And the grounds were, I was going to just connect them all to one and just have one go, but they all 3 fit into the eyelet there, if you can I don't know if you can see that. Not really. So all three just fit right in there. So that worked out pretty well. And yeah, certainly not perfect. If you're OCD, it's going to really bother you, all the little waviness in the solid core wire. Once it's shaped, like I said, it just kind of is what it is. But anyways, I think this is going to be certainly functional. Now we just got to put in the bias resistor back here, and we should be good to fire it up, though it is far too late, unfortunately, to do that tonight. So we'll do this tomorrow and fire it up tomorrow. Fingers crossed, it's all good to go. All right, friends, it's finally go time. We've checked the amp with the current limiter and chain. No problems. It's running right now. It's been running for a bit just to let it warm up. Seems dead silent, even with the volume on half. Got a cab next to me. There's very little noise out of it, really due in part to all of the resistor swaps, which are unfortunate on the originality side, but for performance, great. These carbon films are very, very quiet. I still want to, tidy up all this stuff going on here and replace these resistors just to keep it consistent looking. But right now, priority is just make sure the general performance and health of the amp is okay. So we're gonna go ahead and check the bias. This bias resistor we put in is 120 ohm. This measured 119.4. So we're just gonna go ahead and run all of the numbers super quick here, confirm where we're biased at. And yeah, we got 120 volts from the wall. Looks like it dipped down to 119. So that's our reference point. We're going to check the voltage across the resistor here. 9.72, 9.7. Put that in the calculator. So voltage across the resistor. 9.7. And then we got two tubes biased off that resistor, and then we just need to get the plate to cathode voltage. So to do that, we want to go on this side of the resistor, which is connected to the cathode. And then we're going to be very careful, hand in a pocket, and we're going for pin 7 right here. 264, right around 264, plus or minus a tiny bit. So go ahead and put that into the calculator, and that should give us our plate dissipation with these screens taken into account here. That is 85%. So that is a number that I'm pretty happy to see. It's not exactly what I was expecting to see, but it is definitely better than it was before. So I'm feeling much, much better about this now. It's running really, really well, it seems. And we're not reaching 100% dissipation on a cathode bias amp. That would be the goal typically. And I don't quite understand why that is. There's something else drawing it down a little bit, but so much has been replaced. This whole section has been completely redone. If we need more plate voltage, which seems to be kind of part of the problem here, the main culprit is this resistor. So this is the dropping resistor. The DC feed coming from the rectifier is this orange lead right here. That's going to the first filter cap through this dropping resistor, 1K, it does measure 1K. And then it's going here, and then it's following the yellow wire back to the other end of the filter, and then that's connecting all of the screens. That's giving power to all of the screens of the EL84s here. So that voltage drop, so the voltage on this end is actually really good. In fact, I'll go ahead and measure that real quick for you guys. So the voltage on this end, hand in a pocket, 378 it looks like. So 378 is very good, and then I'll show on the other end of it. So if I go to the other end of the resistor right here, it goes from 378 to about 281, 280 roughly. So we're dropping almost 100 volts there, thereabouts. So if I change this resistor value to something a bit smaller, that would retain more of the plate voltage and keep that higher. But I'm not sure it's necessarily a benefit at this point. That's something we could explore down the line. But this is the stock resistor that came in the amplifier. The voltage out of the rectifier seems pretty good to me. In fact, if we look at the schematic really quickly, we can see kind of what the expectation is there. We can see the schematic here. These are my before numbers. You can see they're actually better now. So we were getting 366 out of the rectifier supply there, and we just measured, what was it, 380, and the schematic says 390. So we're very close to that now. And yeah, so it's definitely seeming healthier. I'm much happier with it right now, and I'm just really excited to play this thing. So we got to get it set up. It's too it's not a good time for me to be able to play loud guitar right now, so that'll have to be something in the future. But I might plug into the aux box perhaps tonight just to do a quick little demo. And the project is not over with this thing by any means, but I'm so excited because it's definitely seeming much healthier, and all those measurements are good. So anyways, yeah, I think we're probably going to end here unless I pop in a little bit of playing just to show what it sounds like. But I am so excited. This amp has been a dream of mine for a while, and it's pretty amazing to finally own it. So, yes. All right, man, this thing sounds killer. Awesome, so excited. I couldn't call it good. There's still a couple of things I want to do to this amplifier real quick. And I've got a gear hang tomorrow, actually. I'm going to bring the amp and really give it its first trial test through a cabinet. So I just want to button up some of these last remaining resistors, swap these over to carbon film to match the rest. There's a 3.3K here as well, 100K right here, if you can see that. And there are two, I think there are 220K resistors under this cap here. They're going to be so hard to reach. I'm not sure if I'm going to try and tackle those or not. But for sure, we'll do these four here, this one here, and this one here tonight. And yeah, we'll call it good from there and then circle back. But I really want to be able to enjoy the amp. So this is just the last little bit that'll nag at me and to stop me from enjoying the amplifier, to be honest. So let's get to it, get these parts out, get the new ones in, and wrap it up. All right. Wow, that took a long time to do, but I'm really happy with how everything came out. So yeah, all of the resistors now have been swapped except for this 1 meg, which is not on the schematic. It's part of the reverb circuit here. I don't quite understand what's going on, so I'm just leaving that for now. And then these two resistors right here, which I'm a little confused by. It looks like they're, artificial center tap. These resistors off of the heaters here. But there are two, if I zoom out, maybe you can see, two connections coming off the power transformer going to ground here. And I don't really understand what this second center tap would be here if that's not related to the heater supply. So I'm just not touching that right now. I'll circle back and figure that out at a later time, but it's quite late. So I'm off to bed, but very, very pleased with how this came out. It's looking really good. And yeah, I'm very confident in it performing great tomorrow. So awesome.